back to my channel. It's Cami. So I received something really exciting today in the mail. I got the Natasha Denona bronze palette. This is a new palette that she just released. It was released on June 23rd and I pre-ordered it on Natasha Denona's site and now it is in my hands. If you want to see some swatches, a review, and an eye look on this palette, just keep watching. As per usual, I zoomed you guys in. My face makeup is all done. I have my eyebrows on and my lid has been primed with concealer and set, so we are all ready to dive right into the beautiful palette. I'm going to start out with Ridge, which is this color right here. I'm gonna put that all over the crease. I'm using my Morphe X Jeffree Star JS5, my favorite crease blending brush. This mirror is really good too. I know I always talk about mirrors, but mirrors are so important, especially if you're traveling. I think it's an essential need for an eye palette is a good mirror. And when I'm doing my videos, I don't have a mirror. I have this mirror right here. It's like a little stand-up mirror, but I love that I can get up close and personal. But this Ridge shade is blending out beautifully. Like, it didn't even take any effort. So I'm gonna try to do a halo eye. So I'm gonna go in with Suntan, this color right here, and just put that on the outer edge of the eye and the inner part of the eye to start that halo eye. If I'm being honest, I don't own many Natasha Denona palettes. I actually only own one palette from her, which is the Safari palette, and I recently purchased it because it was on sale on Sephora. So I don't have much experience with her eyeshadows. I'm probably gonna get a lot of hate for this, but I didn't really see the amazingness of her eyeshadows in the Safari palette. Like, I thought they were good, but I didn't think they were like phenomenal, you know? Like worth $129. I also knew that the Safari palette wasn't her best palette, and so I couldn't really base my thoughts of her brand on just one eyeshadow palette, especially the Safari palette. So I did want to give her eyeshadows another chance because they get so many good reviews, but I didn't want to spend $129 and the other $65 palettes didn't really catch my eye, but this one did because I knew I could wear these colors every day and enjoy them. So I decided to jump on this palette when I saw swatches and it was coming out. I can definitely tell already that these eyeshadows are much better than the Safari palette. I forgot to say, but I was using the JS6 to put that suntan shade on the inner and outer corner, and now I'm going to take the JS12 and a lot of my brushes are actually stained, but I make sure to clean them with my little color switch over here so there's no shadow on there, but they do look like they have shadow from previous eyeshadows because it's stained, but I promise there's no shadow on there. I'm going to take Magma right here, this brown shade right here, and I'm going to deepen out the inner corner and the outer corner even more, make it a little smokier. Definitely way better than the Safari palette. And that palette also only had mattes, so I haven't ever played with her shimmers. So I'm really excited to put one of those shimmers in the middle of my lid. And when I was swatching all of these, the shimmers were absolutely beautiful. So I'm definitely excited to put some of those on my eyes. So now I'm going to kind of blend out the harsh edges because it kind of got dark there. So I'm gonna go into Sundown again, this one right here, the one that I just pretty much blended out in my crease. And I'm gonna take my JS5 again and just run that on the outer edge to smoke it out a bit more. Now with my JS13, this very, very small brush, I want to deepen up the outer corner and inner corner a little bit more. So I'm going to take Deep Dive, this dark black right here, place that right just on the edge because I don't want to bring it in too far because I don't want that darkness to be in the middle. So I'm going to take that just right at the edge right there. When I was looking at swatches online, I thought this was going to be a shimmer, but it's actually a matte. I also love the color next to it, this Rhodium. I probably said that wrong, but that Rhodium shade also looks really beautiful and really unique because it's kind of like a purple with flecks of shimmers. So I'm really excited to play with that too. but I'm going to put a different color on the lid because I already have that planned out. So I'm gonna clean that JS13 brush again, and I'm gonna go into Suntan, this shade right here, and I'm going to kind of blend that dark black shade in with the middle a little bit more. So I just want to blend it out, but keep the middle still empty because we're going to put a shadow in there. So now we are ready for the lid, or the middle lid. So I'm gonna take my favorite packing brush, which is the JS11. And when I was looking at this palette, there was one color in particular that caught my eye next to that rhodium shade, and it's Bliss, this shimmer right here. It is kind of like a duochrome. You probably can't see it on camera, but it's kind of like a pink, peach, gold duochrome, and so I'm so excited to put that on my eyes and see the dimensions in it. So I'm gonna take that on my JS11 packing brush, and of course, I'm going to spray my brush because I never not spray my brush, and I'm just gonna place that right in the middle. All right, that was one swipe and I'm like speechless. I love the dimensions. You can really see, I don't know if you can see it in camera, but in person you can definitely see the pink, gold, green, peach color in it. It's so unique and multi-chrome, and oh, I'm so glad I put this on my lid. All right, so I kind of want to make the very center of the lid a little bit brighter. So I'm going to take Silk, this shade right here, and just kind of put that right in the center. I'm going to use like the tip of my JS11 packing brush and just kind of like tap that in the middle. All right, so that didn't really do much. I think it's because Silk isn't much lighter than Bliss. I actually don't think there is a very light shimmer in here. I think it's all kind of dark to mid-tone bronzes for the shimmers. So I can't really put a much brighter color in the middle of my eye. So what I did with the Silk doesn't really show up because there's not much difference in color tones. There are different colors, obviously, because the Bliss is a peachy tone and Silk is kind of more like a champagne-y bronze, but they're not much difference in like the shade, so you can't really tell a difference on my eye. So I guess that's one downfall, is that there's not a variety in the shimmer tones. Now I'm gonna go back in again with the Magma shade and blend out the shimmers with the darker matte shade. I'm also gonna deepen the outer corner and the inner corner a little bit more because we lost a lot of that black. I'm gonna go back into Deep Dive, the dark black, and just right on the edge. So I was playing with the Jeffree Star palette. If you haven't seen that review, I will link it up here and down below in the description box. But the black in that palette had so much fallout. It was ridiculous. This black doesn't have any fallout. There's a little bit of fallout in the shimmers, but nothing crazy like the Jeffree Star palette. So I really appreciate that. There is a bit of kickback, especially with the matte browns, but nothing to be scared about. I'm just gonna take a flat brush and set my brow bone with the color Beach right here. This might be a little too dark, but let's test it out and see if it's, oh yeah, that is way too dark. Okay, just kidding. I'm gonna dip into the Melt Rust palette and take this classic shade right here, the light one, and set my brow bone. So my lid is all done. I'm gonna go ahead and just put on some mascara and we'll come back for the lower lash line. All right, so my mascara is on. I did not put on any lashes or liner because I didn't really feel like it. I'm just going out to get some dinner with my boyfriend, so I didn't really want to do the whole shebang on my eyes. Let's go ahead and do the lower lash line. I kind of want to basically mimic what I did on the top lid with my bottom lash line. So I'm going to take Magma right here and just put that on the outer lower corner and the inner lower corner. And now I'm going to take Deep Dive, the dark black, really put it in the outer edges. I don't want to bring it in too far. Completely forgot to do the other eye with Magma, so I'm gonna clean off the brush and do that. You guys just ever get so excited about your makeup that you forget that you have a whole nother eye? No? Just me? Alright. Okay, now I'm going to take Bliss the Shimmer shade and put that right in the center of the lower lash line. I'm going to put on some Autumn mascara. Oh, I'm using the ColourPop Volumizing Mascara in BFF. Alright, so we had a little mishap over here and I got some mascara on my face and I completely went haywire. It was messy, not fun, but I think I fixed it. If it looks a little wonky, that is why. We are going to ignore that and continue on. So now all that we are missing is the inner corner highlight. Like I said, the palette does not have a light shimmer, so we are going in with the Benefit Cookie Highlighter. I'm going to highlight my inner corner. So now that the eye look is done, I'm gonna go put on some lips and we'll come back with the review. Alright, so I zoomed you guys out and this is the final makeup look. What do we think? What I have on my lips is the Milani Understatement Lip Liner in Saucy Toffee. And then I have the L'Oreal Color Riche lipstick in 983 Utmost Taupe. And then I have the ColourPop Luxe Gloss in Overnight. So this is a very bronzy eye look and I'm completely for it. I think this bronze eye look is perfect for the summer because along with bright colorful tones, bronze is definitely summer colors, so I love that. I think this eye look is really pretty. So let's go ahead and talk about the collection. The collection came with 3 glosses, a face palette, and the eyeshadow palette. I was not interested in the glosses or the face palette. The face palette is $55 for 4 shades and I thought that was so expensive. So I passed on that. And the lip glosses, again, I am very picky with my glosses, so I felt like I didn't need those lip glosses and so I really only was interested in the Natasha Denona palette. So on Sephora, I'm reading on my phone. It says, a go-to eyeshadow palette that's a summer essential. It's free of parabens and cruelty-free. With a range of formulas and textures from sultry cream powder mattes to vibrant duochrome metallics and shimmers, this palette creates a variety of looks. It's the perfect complement to your summer glow, flattering every skin tone and texture. It is made in Italy and it has a shelf life of 24 months, but of course I don't follow that. So this palette is sold at Sephora, NatashaDenona.com, and Beautylish, and they're all available right now, and it retails for $65. I actually signed up for Natasha Denona's website, so I actually got 10% off, so this was a little bit less than 65, like 58 or something. The front has kind of a mirrored bronzy effect, which is really pretty and nice, but you can probably see the amount of fingerprints and makeup that you're probably gonna get, and it's easy to clean up, but if that bothers you, obviously you're not gonna like the packaging. The back does have little holes, so you could stick like a paper clip in there and push out the eyeshadows because they are removable, which I didn't even know. So you could remove this and put it in another palette like the Sunrise palette or the other $65 palette. I can't remember the names, but you can like mix and match, which is really nice. I don't have the other palette, so I can't do that, but it's good to know that you can do that. So let's go ahead and open it. So it has a really nice mirror. Like I said in the tutorial, I love that it'll like stay up like this, or you can flatten it out. I really love mirrors like that. Now let's talk about the colors. So there are many different finishes in here. There's shimmers, metallics, mattes, like a satin matte type of thing, and duochrome. So I really love that there's a lot of variety in this palette. I will go ahead and put up swatches so you can see all the colors. Some of the mattes did swatch kind of chalky, but of course swatches don't mean how they're going to perform, so even though they swatched chalky, they blended beautifully like you saw in the tutorial. So I really love her mattes in this one. I think it's way better than the Safari palette. Speaking of the mattes, there isn't really a nice range of colors for the mattes and the shimmers, but we'll get into that later. There are a lot of transitional shades, which is great. So Ridge, Beach, Sundown, Suntan are really great transition shades. However, the deeper shades is just Magma, this dark brown right here, and Deep Dive of Black. So you got kind of a dark brown and a black to go with. So you can mix the two and make your own color, but I would really love it if it had kind of like a darker matte than Magma, but not as dark as Deep Dives. And then on the other side of the spectrum, there's not a shade to set your brow bone. As you can see, I tried to set my brow bone with Beach, but it ended up just being too dark, so I had to dip into the Melt Rust palette. That is a downfall that I see because there is no light shade to set your lid or set your brow bone. Now let's go ahead and talk about the shimmers. You probably saw in the swatches how beautiful the shimmers swatched, and I love the mass amounts of variety in them. There's like duochromes, there's shimmers, there's metallics. I love that there's so many options. There's a lot of shimmers and metallics, however, they're all kind of in the same range, unfortunately. So they're kind of like the mid to dark range of shimmers. There's no like light shimmer for the inner corner. You don't get much variety on that either. So in all, do I think this palette is worth the money and if I think you should get it? That is so hard to say, because it is an expensive palette and I've always been like, I'm not going to spend that much money on a Natasha Denona palette, but I am so happy to have this. I think it's beautiful. Like if I was to pick one of her palettes, this is it, which is why I have it. Because I know I will wear these shades, and especially just for the transition shade, if I'm running out the door, I'll just pick up any palette and just put a transition shade on, and that's all I need. I think this palette is beautiful and I really love it, and I'm so glad I have it, but there are cons about it because it's a very mid-tone range palette. It is missing kind of like the lighter tones in here that I crave for, so unfortunately I would have to dig into another palette. But I am impressed with her shades and I love the colors in this palette. I am sorry if I keep blinding you by moving my palette too much. Do you need this palette? Like, is it a revolutionary color story? No, it's a bunch of browns and a bunch of shimmery bronzes. Do you have these colors in your collection? Probably. Do you need it? Probably not. But I really wanted to try her eyeshadows and her formula, and I think they are phenomenal. And I do think they are worth it. But if you already have 1,000,002 palettes like this, I don't think you are going to be missing out if you choose not to purchase this. So if you want to buy it and if you have the funds for it, I think you should go ahead and do it. That being said, it is a very doable palette. So I have a couple palettes that I will go ahead and show you. So if you do have these palettes in your collection, you can go ahead and decide if you really need the Natasha Denona bronze palette. So the first palette I thought I'd compare how it looks to is the Melt Rustac. So this is the Melt Rustac. And you can see there's some shades that are similar, but this has the lighter shade and then the deeper dark shade on the other side. So there is more range in this palette, but the shimmers are definitely more phenomenal in the Natasha Denona palette, in my opinion. Now here it is to my favorite palette, the ABH Soft Glam palette. There is definitely a lot of similarities in these two because they have the nice transition shades and then the dark black shade and then the shimmers and the duochrome pink. So I think out of all the palettes that I've shown so far, this is the most similar to the Natasha Denona palette. This does have the lighter setting shade that the Natasha Denona doesn't have, but again, I would say the shimmers in the Natasha Denona palettes are far superior than the ABH palette. Alright, so the last palette that I want to compare it to is the Warrior palette by Juvia's Place, because this is known to have a lot of the bronzes. Again, very similar. It doesn't have the duochromes that the Natasha Denona palette has, so again, different. If you're wanting a cheaper palette with a lot of bronzes, I think the Warrior palette is the best choice. Alright guys, so that is my review, my eye look, and swatches on the Natasha Denona bronze palette. Let me know if you have any of her other palettes and if you love any of them. I am definitely interested in trying more of her palettes now that I've tried this one. So if you have any suggestions, definitely leave them down below. Let me know also if you're interested in this palette. We can rave and love and talk about how amazing this palette is together. Also, if you have any questions about this, don't hesitate to ask down below because it is kind of a more expensive palette. So I obviously want you to make a good choice on whether you should get it or not. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!